Hi again. I think I'll just go ahead and do part 2 while I'm at it, and hopefully I won't get them mixed up in their descriptions and links and whatnot. Okay, this is the second journal of 8:30, and Mayan day is still 9 road. I was surprised to watch the previous journal ending itself, seemingly before I was ready. Yet I do so love following the heart flow, so I just watched and let it happen. Now I come to what may be part 2 of it. We shall see. I wanted to say more about being and doing, to take these deeper into the castle walls and share what the view is from there. We are drawing closer to a deeper immersion in the heart field here. More and more has fallen off, just fallen away from the one that we are. Elements of the false self have been seen, been discarded. We've recognized their unreality, how they don't reflect our now here presence or being, our current sense of who we are. We enter the next set of walls with a notable emptiness. While so very much has been discarded, yet we don't know what will replace it, if anything. We're much more not knowing at this point than knowing. Our humility is finally present. We're finding it more integrated into our being as well, seeing it at work in our interactions, in our relationships. Let us ever keep the mind out of simply all of this. Be deep in heart with it, as deep as you can. Ignore mind when it pipes up, resuming your attention to heart. By the time you enter this set of castle walls closer to the center, you find it much easier to disregard mind. And by staying in tune with heart, if mind has something to say that's important or that's relevant, heart will let you know that. I hear some minds piping up, wanting to argue this. I won't argue it, but only present my best understanding for you. And then what you do with it is ever your choice. Times when use of mind is appropriate are very clear. Taking mind into the inner dimensions isn't appropriate. Mind is native to the third. When we go within, we simply transcend it when we are ready to do so. In this more central realm of castle walls and the spaces between them, we spend far more time heart-centered. We're in letting go mode most of the time. It seems things are always coming up, showing us how they just don't relate to us as they once did. All the life and desire seems to have gone out of them somehow. We don't know when nor how. Here, we have learned and are learning that only the what holds any importance. The why and the how are now seen for what they are. Strictly mind things, things on which we can take various perspectives. Besides, so often have we seen the why change over time, and the how changes too. These things are not steady, not stable the way heart is. We find that many who do the very same actions do them for far different reasons and motives, as to be frankly amazing. We're firm in our inability to judge any book by its cover. We know this can't be done without necessarily knowing why. It may be that now we realize that the book depends so very much on its reader. We bring ourselves to the reading and interpret what is said based on our own internal world, on our beliefs and understandings. So we see the same book discussed and ideas bandied about that have no reference to how we see things. We observe, often in quiet amazement, the diversity present in life and in man and womankind. What is steady now? What is stable? On what post can we hang our hat? What can we trust? Good questions. Go to your heart for the answers, for they will depend on you, on where you are at any point in the now here. Though I've mentioned it before, it's been a long time, so I have a lovely exercise for you. You set aside a notebook for this purpose. You'll be making an entry once every 5 years or so. You can choose less time if you like, but 5 years provides a great contrast and much fruit. In this notebook, you don't write until you are well centered within. Then you date your entry and answer for yourself the following questions. And there are 2. If I had 3 wishes, not to include infinite wishes, what would they be? If you could literally have anything whatsoever, what would you choose? And you write down your deeply sincere answers. You may even want to ponder it for a few days before making your entry. But be sure to come as much from heart as possible near your core. The next, if you suddenly received a gift or a bequest, let's say of $1 billion, since $1 million isn't so much anymore, how would you spend it? Prioritize your list, writing the things most important to you first, and then those not quite so pressing or intense as you go. Now, you may not be amazed at what you wrote down just now, at what you write down when you do it. And that's not the point. The point for now is the blessing, the clarity you gain by assessing your true inner desires. You're getting to know yourself, and it's simply fun. It's an enjoyable exercise, to be sure. And then you put your notebook away, knowing it will be at least a year, maybe 3, maybe 5 before you take it out again. When you do, it will be to give your then current answers to the same questions without referring yet to what you wrote before. Let it be fresh. Just be with now here each time you journal your entries, being in heart always for this writing. When I do special writing like this, I often use a gold pen. For a time, I even used a gold fountain pen. Your writing implement may be important or not. These days, I tend to use a mechanical pencil for most things. Since I write so very much, it's nice not to have to take time out to sharpen the leads and break the flow that's coming. And then, too, they hold leads in their barrel, so that's very neat. Yet I still use the gold pen for special things. There is no way to prepare you for the shock you will encounter as you go back over your entries made through the years. It's stunning. We get the sense as we walk through life that we're the same person, that we don't really change deep down all that much. You'll soon be laughing at that once you see the great strides you have made, as displayed plain and simple in your answer to these two questions. Now, of course, this also highlights another of the blessings of simply keeping a journal. I don't need to tell you that, though, if you've been with me very long on this journal journeying we do on These Eyes God and Scribed. The benefits become obvious, such as getting more and more in touch with your own inner muse, your own intuition central, as I like to call it, and that's perhaps the biggest one. Intuition just flows off the pen, the pencil, or the keyboard. Again, I have a little bird parked on the water dish looking at me. It has its back to the water, quietly looking inward, head cocked to the side. Not understanding what this is about in no way dims my appreciation, my joy with it. Understanding is highly overrated anyway, and the closer to heart we go and abide, the more obvious this becomes. One man's trash is another man's treasure, same item. And my treasure of yesterday, well, may go out in today's trash. So understanding is more flexible than most of us appreciate. I am still in that stage of disconnecting from everything, even though I'm aware that a big part of my mission, if you will, is to be a translator of the heavenly language as shown to me in a vision, yet that must wait. Relying on none but the self is what my now here is about, so I accept it. Life is nothing if not paradoxical. This too I joyfully accept. Why not, right? Why fight with what is, constantly trying to change it somehow? It never works out quite the way we desired or thought it would anyway. Often it works out far better than we could have imagined. So I surrender all such resistance to life. Self-observing, I am alert for such resistance to show itself, for it's laced and woven deeply into us in various guises. Let us be humble enough to accept the non-perfect, the non-perfection of our 3D manifestation. Actually, it too is perfect. It's our seeing that must make a great shift, though, before we're able to spot this perfection here in 3D. It turns out to be nothing at all like the mind had expected or imagined. Mind sees a very linear, brittle perfection. Oh no, it's another thing entirely, full of paradox at every step, as our seeming imperfection turns out to be perfect after all, just in ways we hadn't a clue about. In closing, I'll touch once more on being and doing. It won't be anything new to so many of you, but if it blesses some, I'll be content. The closer we get to heart and its depths, the more we will discover something new, something quite paradoxical. We will find our doing is doing us, that we are not doing that. This is only found in the deep stillness within, but as we occupy there, it will be seen in our daily life. As for instance, most of you know that these journals don't come from thought. They write themselves. I merely lend my hands to the task. But this outer self doesn't do the writing, nor even recall what is written once it's done. The journals arise from a place of inner stillness, of silence. The outer mind is quieted down or ignored, then the inner being can speak, and it does, if that is your desire, if you make room for it. So in that way, the doing is done, yes. The journal is written, for instance, but not by the you that you know, not by the outer one. So our doing, we find, arises from deeper within. And if quizzed on it, it's 50-50 whether we have an answer to offer. We will if Source offers one, but otherwise, we likely draw a blank. Coming to accept this way of being, for that's what it is, a being, not a doing, takes letting go of much. Initially, that letting go tends to come with discomfort. Mind is so used to running things, and it is nonplussed at seeing that heart is also able to run the show. It doesn't initially appreciate that, not one bit, and thus the discomfort. Yet, it can be fairly easily recognized to be just mind that is uncomfortable, not the real you. This is where your breathing room, that space between you and mind, is a most precious treasure. Your ability to step back and just observe the doings of mind is key to your resolution of the discomfort. And be aware that sometimes it's resolved by not being resolved. What do I mean? I mean it's quite possible to accept the discomfort and not try to change it, but just to observe. Really, when you don't know what to do, please do nothing. Just watch. Art is never in a rush, only mind is. There is no need to force your will on things. It comes down to identifying with a different you anyway, doesn't it? Self with a capital S. So, asking, who is the you who is uncomfortable, or whatever it may be, is a good measure to take in sorting it out. Body wants certain things and dislikes others, but when we need to take the terrible tasting medicine, we overrule body. Mind wants certain things, such as to rule, to run things, and it dislikes others. We must be as ready to overrule mind as body, yet ever with caution and respect. Body and mind are not always incorrect and don't deserve, certainly, to be always overruled. I can't say aught but that I find my best choices and decisions arise from deep within heart. I just love to sleep on it. When not sure of a reply or an action, I'm contemplating, pondering. Be at peace, my friends. That is here and available for you and for us all, if we're willing to sort through our beliefs and kick the rabble-rousers out. Now, don't take from that that you will not wind up being a rabble-rouser yourself. You may well. Just as there is or can be stillness in the midst of action, so can there be stillness in the midst of simply anything. So, once again, don't let mind get a hold of any of this. It's not qualified in the least to understand the deeper things. You have other equipment for that. That is not its best use, just the one we've been taught to put it to. Let us lovingly let go of more and more of the ideas and beliefs of the past. They no longer fit, no longer suit us in the midst of all of this change. All of this is best found by dumping all thought of past and future, sticking only to now. We can all be stillness in action. When we can, then I suspect the new age will be born, will be manifest for all, not just those of us who came in to be at the head of the column to show the way by being that, the light beings. Namaste. Heart will let you know that. I hear some minds piping up, wanting to argue this. I won't argue it, but only present my best understanding for you. And then what you do with it is ever your choice. Times when use of mind is appropriate are very clear. Taking mind into the inner dimensions isn't appropriate. Mind is native to the third. When we go within, we simply transcend it. When we are ready to. Hi again. I think I'll just go ahead and do part 2 while I'm at it, and hopefully I won't get them mixed up in their descriptions and links and whatnot. Okay, this is the second journal of 8:30, and Mayan day is still 9 road. I was surprised to watch the previous journal ending itself, seemingly before I was ready. Yet I do so love as well, seeing it at work in our interactions, in our relationships. Let us ever keep the mind out of simply all of this. Be deep in heart with it, as deep as you can. Ignore mind when it pipes up, resuming your attention to heart. By the time you enter this set of castle walls closer to the center, you find it much easier to disregard mind. And by staying in tune with heart, if mind has something to say that's important or that's relevant, following the heart flow. So I just watched and let it happen. Now I come to what may be part 2 of it. We shall see. I wanted to say more about being and doing, to take these deeper into the castle walls and share what the view is from there. We are drawing closer to a deeper immersion in the heart field here. More and more has fallen off, just fallen away from the one that we are. Elements of the false self have been seen, been discarded. We've recognized their unreality, how they don't reflect our now here presence or being, our current sense of who we are. We enter the next set of walls with a notable emptiness. While so very much has been discarded, yet we don't know what will replace it, if anything. We're much more not knowing at this point than knowing. Our humility is finally present. We're finding it more integrated into our being.